And I am going to be talking to you about homeopathy for you, for your pet, and a few things of, I usually take one of the subjects that where I think has probably the broadest, where people have, most everybody has something or other, either cold or whatever. But we're going to be talking today about homeopathy. And that's what I do. I am a homeopathist for 15 years. Um, Private practice. And Amnon, who is our producer, who is in the background making all this happen. Amnon, good evening. Hello.
Good evening. Gning, 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 gning.
He has a great sense of humor, and he will be the one. When you put into the chat box a question, please give me questions. Tell me what ails you, what you think. If sometimes homeopathy can help. Sometimes herbal remedies help. Sometimes you have to go to allopathy. But most everything homeopathy can fix. So I'm going to tell the folks of how they can get in touch with me while the show is on.
You can dial. Well, first of all, you need to log in to the chat. All of you that are watching right now need to log into the chat, and then you can participate, talk amongst yourself, ask questions. If you don't
Right.
want to do it, like you always don't, then you can call in 919-518-9773. That's 919-518-9773. Or if you want to use Skype because you are outside the US and you don't have unlimited calling and all that, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Just
Yeah,
connect to Computers 2K Voice with Skype.
it's so easy and it's free. You
Yes.
don't have to give your email. We are not going to keep track of who is online. We only know of how many people. We know we have thousands of people listening always. Unfortunately, not everybody always participates, which is sad because there is no stupid question, A. B, if you don't ask questions, you will never know the answer.
Right.
Often I try to be always so complete with everything that many have said, well, you've answered all my questions already. Um, you may have a pet that you have taken to the vet 20 times already, and still the pet is not right. Well, you know what? Post the question. I might have the answer. I do treat pets and do treat people. Now, I don't really treat people and I don't really treat pets. What I do is I give you an idea of what remedy to use. And because I don't give medical advice, I'm not a doctor. And even though I probably have as much training as many doctors have, but I do not have an MD or a veterinarian degree. Um, but it has been my life, it is my passion, and it is my vocation. And so my life I have dedicated to learn about homeopathy, how to keep us healthy and well. My little family, my friends, my families, and my clients who call me for consultations and for advice. So make use of it. Uh, Put in the chat whatever you think you would like to know, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Now, let me tell you about this week. Usually, I tell you a little bit about um, clients or cases that I've had. This week I've had some interesting ones. I had one, a cat with a bad urine tract infection. And the cat went to the vet several times and several rounds of antibiotics, and the cat still was not right. Still was, and when the cat has a urine tract infection, she lets you know. She either urinates someplace unusual, not in the litter box, or she drinks a lot. Cats that drink a lot may have, it's not always the case, but may have bladder or urine tract infections, because they instinctively know that drinking and more fluids will swim out the bacteria. And everybody always tells me, well, if you have an infection, a bacterial infection, the only thing that you can use is antibiotics. And the only thing that works is antibiotics. Well, that's not quite true. Many cases, that is the case. But very often, a homeopathic remedy will do the same thing. And sometimes when it's caught early enough, if it is in a person, I mean, there are some women who have chronic cystitis. They always have a little burning, they always have a little itching, they always have a little uncomfortness. And that can really be very, very aggravating. Not only will you feel anxious and uncomfortness, but your entire body, once you have something in that region, your entire body feels sick. It's very much so like if your feet hurt, your entire body starts hurting. And that brings me just very quickly to the fact of how interconnected our body is. When one thing goes out of balance, the entire system, if it's not taken care of, the entire system can go and you can really become sick. So learn how to listen to your body. Learn how to observe your pets very closely to understand if there is something out of sort. Very often I talk to a pet owner and I say, well, has the cat always been pacing like this? Or has the cat always been sort of breathing a little bit harder? Like, that's usually a indication of pain. But if the cat has always been doing it, or the dog has always been doing it, then that is just the way of behavior. So you need to understand the behavior of your animal very well. So that's why, and it's the same thing with yourself. Often people go to the doctor way too late because they have not been observing, oh, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. Oh, I have a little pain here, I have a little burning there, or, oh, it's going to be okay. I'm just going to take 2 aspirin or 2 Tylenol or whatever may be the flavor of the day, and it's going to be all right. Well, you know what? If it doesn't go away in a day or two, you may have something else that can't be fixed with a Tylenol or with an aspirin or Motrin or whatever. So you may want to listen to your body and say, well, okay, now I have this pain in my wrist, and it has not, there's no swelling, and there is no problem really other. But now when I start trying to hold something, I don't have enough grip anymore in my fist. I can't hold it. Sometimes it falls even out of my hand. Well, that may be a serious inflammation of the tendons. Now, easily fixable with homeopathy. You don't need to go to the doctor. You don't need to have MRIs. You don't need to have, but if it does not get fixed with a remedy like, for instance, a Rudagrav or a Rustax, depending on what the symptom in reality is, then I would advise go and have it checked out. In this case, with the cat, was a urine tract infection. I didn't have to tell the owner, take the cat to the vet and let's get some blood work done. There was tons of blood work done, and there was tons of diagnostic things done. Yet the cat was not better. I listened to the entire story. It was a telephone thing because the cat was far away, so I couldn't see the cat. But I asked the owner to read to me the blood work. And in the blood work, it was very apparent there was an infection in the body. So what we did is we gave the cat acidophilus, and there is a pet acidophilus that you can buy at Pet Mart, and all of them, they sell pet acidophilus. But better yet, get a liquid acidophilus or yogurt. My cats all were taught from young on to love yogurt. My husband and I, we eat yogurt in the morning, and they always they sit up in line. They want their spoonful of yogurt. It's the best thing that you can do for your animals, because, always something can happen. There could be something that they ate. It could be they didn't drink enough water. Maybe they had a little stress, too much, especially if you have several animals. A urine tract infection or a bladder infection can easily be obtained by any animal or by any person. Can be brought on by stress, can be brought on by also a real bacterial infection. For instance, some fecal matter reached the vagina, and it became an infection. That usually is one of the most common cause for it. But if you have been under a lot of stress, that can also cause it. And it can cause it in your pet as well as in you. So when you feel the first onset is usually that there's a little bit more anxiety. You feel uneasy. You feel like, something is not right. That is usually the first. Most people pay no mind to that. If you do, and you treat it right away with like a couple of capsules of maybe of an herbal remedy. Boku is a good one. But you can also take some berberis, aquifolum. Berberis is a fabulous remedy for for urine tract infection or cystitis. Sarsaparilla is a you can also have it for in a tea. Now, teas, of all of the remedies that I'm telling you, teas are the least effective. You have to drink a lot. But if you use it right in the beginning, it works right away. Now, you're not going to give your cat tea, right? Unless you have a real unusual cat and she drinks tea.
In the
And I have
afternoon.
heard
In the afternoon.
they let me tell you, I have heard the funniest things of what people feed their animals and what they give their animals. I mean, nothing surprises me today anymore. It's just unbelievable. But it seems like all animals survive the love of their owner. One of the things that when you have that kind of uneasy feeling, it's maybe a little itchy, or you see your animal walking around a little bit too much, drinking too much, or urinating in odd places, usually right in front of you or on the bed. I had a cat when it was a male cat, and whenever he would, because males notoriously don't want to drink water, and he would get a urine tract infection and he would pee right on the bed. It's very charming if you have feather beds. I mean, let me tell you, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And that cat did not enamor himself with me, but we fixed it and he was okay and he never did it again. But, cats will do that to show you, hey, there's something wrong. This needs to be taken care of. One of the things also is, yes. Oh, well, do we have an irritated cat there? Do we have anybody who has a question or a comment to this?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Well, my dogs obviously do have comments to all of this. So I apologize for that. TC.
Oh,
quick.
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he listens. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to have sugar, coffee, nicotine, or alcohol. That's going to make it worse for people. For cats or dogs, for animals, it's just really amazing. My horse, I had a horse that would get a bladder infection. Now, how the heck she got that bladder infection, I don't know. But, when you look at the behind configuration of a horse, afterwards, when I examined all that, I saw, well, there could be some fecal matter that has reached her urethra and caused a bacterial infection. But she had a bad infection. She was pacing up and down, and her urine was really very almost rust color. So there was definitely blood in the urine. So I gave her some sarsaparilla, and then we gave her some Staphylococcus, and she was good as gold afterwards. One of the preferred remedies for any kind of bladder problem is Cantaris, and it's also called Spanish fly, and that we use predominantly when there is some blood in the urine. So coming back to my client with the cat, there was always, but not always blood. They would take urine and there would be blood in it one day, and the next time there wouldn't be. And it was just the oddest thing. So I gave the cat a whole regimen. First, she took one thing. We took first Cantaris, then we gave her a different remedy, and then on the end, because she was still not really wanting to eat. And with cats, it's a real problem. If they get off their food, they can get very, very ill. But if you're sick and you don't feel good, you don't want to really eat. But with cats, if they are a couple of days, they will not eat, then it can become a serious problem. So we gave her then arsenicum, and I have not heard, usually my clients, when they, when it doesn't work, I hear it right away. It's not working. It's still the same. And I have not heard. It's been now over a week. And that is, in my business, a good thing. I will give a call next week, find out. Usually I follow up and see if the cat, but I am pretty sure that kitty is on the mend and is pretty good. Now, the difference between giving some herbal, like uvaosi or berberis, those things, if you give it as an herbal remedy. Now, herbal remedy and homeopathy remedies are quite different. And I have said it many times before, just briefly, for those of you who are new listening, briefly, homeopathy comes in these little tubes, little tiny sugar pills that we use a very small amount, dissolve in water, and it helps our body to righten itself. The homeopath will select the remedy according to the totalitarian of the symptoms. So if you have a burning in the urethra but no itching, and you retain urine rather than want to avoid all the time, you may have a different remedy than if you are having a irritation in the urethra with itching, or you just have itching and you are profusely urinating. So all in the same area, all similar, but quite different. So that's how the homeopath then selects the remedy. Now, if that discomfort that you have or your pet has is combined with maybe excessive drinking or excessive itching on the body, again, the homeopath then takes all of that in consideration and says, okay, what is the total symptomatic figure here? And then selects the remedy according to that. So I hope that helps you when it's not just, okay, for you have some itching, take this. It's not it's not quite so simple. I guess that's why homeopathy, there are so many people that you either love it or you don't really know it, and then you sort of like, oh, well, it doesn't work because you have tried it and it didn't work because you didn't have the right remedy. And that can very well be. So, coming back to herbal is a lot easier. You know, you usually make herbal, you usually make a tincture or you have a tea and you drink that and you then either get better or you then end up at the doctor's and get antibiotics. Now, if you went to a homeopathist and they gave you or your pet a remedy that didn't fix the problem, then what? Do you then go to the veterinarian or to the doctor and get antibiotics? Well, I wouldn't, not right away. I would then say, because some of the remedies take a day or two, they don't fix the issue right away. One of the things that we all learn, and we all homeopaths who are going through the training, and the training is long and many years, and if you are not willing to study it really as a lifetime thing, then it's not really going to work that well, because you're not going to be able to select remedies and that really hone in on the problem. But we all are taught, wait. You give a remedy and then you wait. You don't right away. If it doesn't work right away, wait before you change the remedy. Now, sometimes you do have to change the remedy because you didn't select the right one in the first place. That does not mean that you're not a good homeopathist or you did not, or you didn't go to a good homeopathist. It's just maybe because you didn't give the homeopathist all the information. Sometimes we forget something, like, oh, I've had that many times with pets, that when I would talk to the owner and I would say, okay, now the pet has itching of the, let's say just itching, okay? Itches. Okay. Are there any pustules there? Is there anything to see? Oh, well, no, they're just a few flakes. Okay. Now, what does the pet eat? Well, they eat dog food. Okay, dog food. A lot of dry dog food. Yeah, they eat dry, or let's say old Roy or whatever. Okay. Now that gives me an indication of there may be some other cause than a skin problem. But what they forgot to tell me is that the pet was bitten by a tick a week before, and they removed the tick. And then if there is Lyme disease, there's often a lot of itching before the Lyme disease really manifests itself, which is often in pets that there's muscular weakness, that they can't walk, they have a high fever. It's similar to humans, but not quite as, but very similar to humans. And so when I found that out afterwards, then I was able to give the right remedy, and I was able to advise the pet owner of how to treat it, and the pet was just perfect afterwards, no problems. In fact, this year we are probably, I hope Amnon, this is just like one of those fake news things. Everybody here in the Northeast tells me this year Lyme disease is going to be worse than any other time because there are more ticks infected than ever before.
Not
I
only
hope
not only that, it's because there was no real cold weather to kill the babies or the eggs or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I hope it's fake news, and I hope that is not going to be the case, because that would be tragic. But if anybody does have Lyme disease, guys, give me a call, send me an email. If I see the smoke signals, I will answer them too. So you can always email me at Nissan Communications. My email is right there. My life-my will at livelive.com, or you can email me at homeopath for the number 4 me at livelive.com. If you write down what the problem is, I will answer. It may take me a day or two, because if I get very busy, I'm not on the computer, but most of the time it is only about 24 hours and I will answer. Do we have any questions? Anybody in the chat? Anybody saying anything?
Nobody's saying anything. I guess they don't have a problem. I don't know. Or that, either that or they are listening but watching the basketball game. I don't know.
I don't know. What is it, guys? Come on. Talk to me. I feel lonely here.
Anyway, it's time now.
Yeah. So, anyway, so the do's and don'ts, what you don't want to do is, well, one thing what you do want to do is bladder infection, just to get back one more time. And everybody always talks about how vitamin C and cranberry juice helps. Well, the jury is really out on that. It can't hurt. It cannot hurt. But it's really not, if you really have a bladder infection or urine tract infection, doesn't work really that well. You really do need to have a little something different. The other one is also for your pets. You can't give them really cranberry juice, you know. So it will be wise then to have a number of a homeopath. And as always, you know, I mean, go to the homeopath first. When that doesn't work, in latest a week, then go to the doctor. Then go and get antibiotics if you must. But give it a chance to not to poison your body with antibiotics, because you stress your body with antibiotics even more so, because it kills all the friendly bacteria also. So you need to take a lot of acidophilus with antibiotics. And your pets, the same thing. You need to give them a lot of friendly bacteria if you take any kind of antibiotic. Getting away from the urine tract, one of the interesting cases I had this week also was a young woman who had gotten hit by a car a year ago and had a lot of problems in her upper neck and in her torso, was pain and so on. And naturally, in that case, she didn't want to really use homeopathy, because she said, you know, there was somewhat of a lawsuit and so on, and I wanted to use doctors. And, you know, we still are living with that in my opinion, in the Dark Ages. It should have been made licensed for, for all homeopaths already, or at least mainstream. But it's getting there. It's getting there. Anyway, but I know the young woman, so I told her, well, she has one of those healing lights. And I said, use that and so on. Well, it came about that she did finally, they kept pressing her and saying, well, the only thing that's going to help your neck is if you have it repaired surgically. And she had then some numbness in her legs and in her arms, and she was very much afraid that this would stay, and so she went and had the operation. Well, she came through it really quite well, but she did not want to take. The doctor gave her, when she left the hospital, the doctor gave her 85 Oxycontin. 85 pills. That would have been enough to get her addicted in a jiffy.
She must have flew out.
Pardon me?
She must have flew out of the hospital to home. She was flying.
She took them with her. She had them in a bottle, 85, to take every day 3 or 4. That's what gets you addicted.
They're ridiculous.
What gets you addicted is this every 2-3 hours, another Oxycontin. Anytime a twinge of pain, another Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we have this terrible addiction problem in this country. So she, thank God, has a brain, and called me up and said, Gisela, what am I doing? And I made her a homeopathic cocktail, and she was taking that, and she's fine. She is, after 1 week, she has only minimal pain. She will always have some pain because there's a plate in there, there's screws in there, there's all kinds of things in her neck. She will never be right. But she will at least be this way. She will at least be able to function. And she's a young woman, I mean, in her 50s, early 50s. So it's just too unfortunate. But homeopathy can do that. Homeopathy can take your pain away. Homeopathy can treat acute problems, Lyme disease. You've heard me talk about diabetes. You've heard me talk about even addictions, mental problems, many mental problems. Many people have problems with anxiety and shyness and fear of whatever, right? Homeopathy can help. I have a horse that now we are having spring coming. Now the farrier had to come because the hoofs were long, and he had to come and shorten them and make them pretty again, and so that my poor horse doesn't have foot and leg problems. So I took her out, I walked her around, and I let her in her ring there. She has like a playpen, she has a ring, and I let her play there, and we both played, and she was all relaxed, and everything was nice. And the farrier came, and I said, oh, well, this is going to be really nice. Well, no way. She was not going to have it. There was no way. Oh, no, you are not touching my legs. And if you do touch my leg and now lift it up, well, you're not doing that. I refuse. I mean, I refuse to let you do that. But it was more so the fear. It was all winter. Nothing happened. We didn't do any of this, even though she is an older horse, she is not a young horse. But their memory is not that long for things like this, right? So the farrier looked at me and I looked at him and I said, well, I guess we're going to have to go the homeopathic route. So I went in and I took a carrot and I bit off a piece and then I halved the carrot and I laced the carrot all the way up with chamomile, homeopathic remedy chamomile. And I came out, I gave it to her. 5 minutes later, we had no more problems. None. Lifted up the leg, no more dancing around, no more pulling away. Everything was cool. Mental problem, fear of. People have it, animals have it. You know, chamomile is one remedy that does work, but there are many remedies that work just like that. So please, before you go to the doctor, except if you have an arm dangling that needs to be set, or you're bleeding profusely and the cut needs to be sewn up immediately, or the pain is so excruciating that you need to have relief right away, go first to your homeopath, then go to the doctor. You hit your now we are doing all kinds of things to the house. Now spring comes, and there's fixing to be done and to be repaired and so on. And many times the thumb is right in the middle of the hammer and the nail. I don't know how that happens, but it does happen. And you hit the hammer and you hit the thumb. Well, anybody who's ever done that knows what an ouch that is. I mean, that's enough to make a sailor out of anybody, I mean, it's like, oh. First thing you do is you have hypercarium there. You take a dose of hypercarium, and then you examine the thumb, see if anything is broken. And with that, our show has come almost to an end, unless we have anybody who wants to tell me anything or ask me anything.
Nobody
wants to do that. Well, that's just too bad, because I was all set today and saying, wow, I hope that we will have many, many questions. But since you don't want to, I must be so good explaining everything so well that you don't need to ask me anything. Is that the case? Say yes. No, yes. All right. Well, it was such a pleasure being here with you again. Monday evenings, I wouldn't know what else to do on Monday evening. It's so nice having you in my living room and talking to you and giving you my wisdom. I wish you a wonderful week. If you like the show, please tell your friends to tune in to nissancommunications.com on Monday evening at 8 o'clock to the Gisela show. And I don't always just talk about homeopathy. I talk about other things too. So the next week, I know I will be talking about another subject. But if you learned about the show on Twitter or Facebook, let me also know, because I want to know of how you found out about the show. I wish you a wonderful week. Stay healthy. Don't get sick. Be happy every day, because that is one of the best remedies. Bye for
Absolutely.
now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.